What's good, y'all? It's Gas, and SoFaygo finally dropped Pink Heartz, man. It's been such a long wait, but it's finally here. Crazy beats on it, so y'all already know the deal. I'm gonna give y'all a real quick tutorial on all that, so let's get into it. Let's go. So I just pulled up Triton, got this pretty pad sound, and I'm about to lay out a nice little chord progression.
Hey, Kumi, turn that shit up.
So we got a nice little chord progression here. You guys can see it's 16 bars long. Usually I go for 8, but considering the fact that the BPMs are at 160, I just figured it'd be best if I added a little bit more variation, just so it doesn't get too repetitive. So I'm gonna give you all a real quick breakdown of what I did. So before I even say anything, shameless plug, but I just made a chord progression tutorial, so that will be in the top right now. Go watch that if you haven't already, if you struggle at all with making chord progressions like this. But here, really all I did, you guys can see just some 7th chords and then a few added notes here and there. And as far as the top line goes, I was just humming it out in my head. That's something that'll help you out a lot. Just trust your head. Hum out a melody in your head, and whatever sounds good, just go with that. Don't overthink shit. And just a word of advice when making these chord progressions for like SoFaygo type of beats is to leave a good amount of space between the notes. As you guys can see, I did that here, and that was just to make it like more spacey and more atmospheric, really just going for that SoFaygo type of vibe. So this little chord progression sounds like this. Next sound, I wanted a lead, so we're back in Triton. Grab this lounge bass lead. Let's see what we can do. So I got the lead laid out. I'm gonna give you all a real quick breakdown. So here to start off, just the same like note, super simple pattern there. And then moving on, I had a little glide note and then a little descending pattern that sounded like this. And again, just heard it in my head. I thought it sounded nice, so I laid it out. And then I did have a little bit of variation in the second half. I didn't duplicate the first 8 bars over. So here I was just clicking around, hearing stuff in my head and just laying out what sounded good. So if y'all are ever struggling with leads, then just click it out. Like you guys can see the ghost notes from the chords that I made. Literally just click over them and see what sounds good, because chances are it'll sound good if it's in the scale, and if you're clicking over your chords, then it will be in the scale. And then other than that, I had another little descending pattern, and then here at the end I almost replicated what I had here, just with a little bit of variation, just so it sort of led back into the beginning. So the lead with the chords sounds like this. Triton again, I just picked out another lead sound. Now since we already made a pretty complicated lead pattern, I want to make one that's like a little more simple. So I'm gonna lay that out. So I just laid out the lead, and like I said, pretty simple. Pretty much just going over like the top notes of the chord progression and seeing what sounded good. It's kind of an intense lead, so I turned it down a bit, but I think it sounds nice in the mix, so this is how it sounds. Now I think this melody needs some bass, so I'm back in Triton. I don't know if y'all can tell, but Triton is like quickly becoming one of my favorite plugins. It just has so many nice sounds. Highly recommend it if y'all don't already have it. But I'm about to lay out a little bass pattern. So two things. One, I finished up this bass pattern, and I'll get to that, but I also changed the preset. I changed it to the name bass preset. I think I had it as like dark R&B bass or something like that before. So I switched up the sound, but really all the bass pattern is just following the root notes. It's nothing too crazy at all, as y'all can see. And if you guys ever have trouble laying out a bass pattern, literally just put it up a few octaves and treat it like a lead pattern. But I'm gonna let y'all hear this. And I feel like this only needs one more sound. So I felt like this melody needed an arpeggio, so I went into X-Band and went into the simple arp section and then grabbed this DX Dreams preset. Literally all I did was copy and pasted the chord progression that we had from the synth, and then I put it up an octave, and it sounds crazy. But I also put some effects on it. I put Pan Man on it, just a little bit of left to right panning. I put a little bit of crystallizer, some reverb, and then a little EQ to cut out some of the annoying frequencies, and now we got this. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I think I have an addiction because I literally add strings to every single melody that I make. I just went into this analogy, grabbed this XV strings preset, and then I laid out this super simple pattern just to round out the melody. So now everything together is gonna sound like this. And now it's time for the drums. Now in terms of drums on Pink Heartz, I'm not gonna lie, there was a whole lot of different styles. There was like some slowish R&B type of songs, and then there was some fast-paced, hard-hittings type of songs. So really, I could go either way with this melody. I'ma just figure it out as I go. Finished with the drums, y'all know the drill. I'm gonna give y'all a real quick breakdown, let's get into it. So starting off with this snare, it kinda looks a little crazy, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, but I promise y'all it's not. It's literally just a basic 3 and 7 clap pattern with a few rolls and like accent notes. Like you can see here, just a single hit, and then right here, just a double hit, single hit, and then here, I went a little crazy, just had, hold on, let me solo this. So I had a little, I play with the velocities a little, just like this little roll, and then accent notes here, and it's really nothing crazy. Sounds like this. And then I literally just had that 4-bar just repeat all the way throughout. I had a little bit of variation here at the end, but that's really nothing. See, I'm not gonna lie, I kinda wish I didn't do 16-bar drum patterns and instead just did 8, because this looks so crazy. So for the hi-hat, literally 2-step, that's all it is, with a note cut out right here, and then I had that repeating every 2 bars, and other than that, just 1 roll and then this little filler note right there. And I randomized the velocities just to make sure it wasn't so repetitive. Then repeating open hat, literally just hitting where I saw fit just to give it a little more bounce. Then I got this snare, which is going a tiny bit crazy, but really it's just accenting the clap, or I guess the first snare, whatever you want to call it. But really it's just accent notes. I had a few rolls here and there, but it's really nothing too crazy, and you definitely don't have to do anything too crazy here. I just thought it sounded nice, and I also have it kind of quiet in the mix so it's not like too disruptive to the actual beat. Then I got this zap perk, really just playing a super repetitive pattern, just repeating every 2 bars. Another repetitive open hat, just playing a super repetitive pattern. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the main event, the 808. Kind of a complex pattern, but I'm gonna break it down real quick. So I got a few stutter notes here just to sort of like these gaps actually give the 808 pattern a whole lot of bounce. So I did that a few times, and other than that, I'm really just following the root notes, man. Y'all can see it. Literally just using the notes that I've been using throughout the whole melody. And something to remember with these 808s, especially for these Faygo beats, is you can have them hitting hard, but you definitely want to leave space for the artist. You don't want to flood it. And this is kind of a bad example because I did use a good amount of hits, but you definitely don't want to flood it and have like 808s at every single opportunity, just like hitting and giving the artist no space to actually like punch in and shit. In this situation, less is definitely more, and more is kind of less, if y'all catch my drift. And then other than that, I just had this flash sound. As y'all can hear, put a little bit of reverb and delay on it, and that is it for the drums. So everything together sounds like this. Time to arrange. So the beats arranged, really I didn't do nothing too crazy with the arrangement, but I'm gonna break it down real quick. So I started it off with like a little 16-bar pre-hook, I guess you could call it. And first 8 bars, I just had the synth playing, and then I added in some more sounds for the last 8 bars. And just to transition into it, I had this little effect that I'll play. So then after that little pre-hook, I had to drop into a 16-bar hook and a little 2-bar delay on the 808. Just to make it a little more dramatic. And then for the sounds, I didn't have the strings or the lead playing. For the first hook, I had those come in later down the line, but then I had to go into this little verse. And for the first 16 bars of the verse, I had only the synth playing for the melody, and I had another 2-bar delay drop for the 808, and I actually switched the 808 out for this sub. Thought it made it sound a lot nicer and add a little more variation to the beat. And then I cut out this little open hat just to, again, give it a little more variation. Then I had this little delay drop here just to make it a little more dramatic. And then here I took out the 808/sub entirely and just had these 3 sounds play, and then I had all the sounds come in with none of the drums. And then I had to drop back into the hook here, and I kind of extended the hook. As you guys can see, I made it 32 bars instead of 16, and just had everything come in at once for the last 16. and then I dragged over the first 16 bars of the verse just for a little outro, had the volume fade out, and that is it. And that's gonna be the beat, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you enjoyed or learned something, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out the channel a ton. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, man. Let's grow this channel. Get me monetized so I can really get on my grind, you know what I'm saying? And if you haven't, then make sure you comment below and let me know what type of tutorials y'all want to see, because I'm really down for whatever. But as always, this has been Gaz, and I'm out. Peace.